is an important question for Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze. Now, FanDuel Sportsbook, they've set it at 7.5, over at -164, under at +134. DK, we got, I don't know if you've been reading any tea leaves or checking the vibes around Auburn camp. Our guy Jackson Arnold trying to get a little fresh scenery. Maybe you got some confidence there. Maybe the defense, or maybe you got no confidence. What are we doing with the Tigers with this?
I am worried about my man Hugh Freeze.
Your guy, Danny's guy, Hugh Freeze.
My guy.
Let's put it on the record.
My golfing buddy, Hugh Freeze. There's been it just feels like disaster could be coming. I worry about the narrative with Jackson Arnold. I think sometimes it gets overblown, but I do think he does have a problem with confidence. I think that impacted him in Oklahoma. With the expectations around him, with all these weapons being in Hugh Freeze's system. And I know he's got incredible wide receivers to throw to. And I also think they might be playing other quarterbacks this season. Like if it doesn't work out.
Oh, like go to Deuce Knight, the talented freshman?
Yeah, could see that happen.
They also, I think, will use the Stanford kid in some run packages.
Ashton Daniels, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to your question, the non-conference isn't the Baylor game. It's so big to start off the season. They are an underdog in that game. I'm on the under. I think it might, and I do. If they're on the under, I think that probably means the end of Hugh Freeze. So,
yeah,
I'm not getting great vibe. This might be the vibes play.
So if they go under, leave the schedule up, Mikey. If they go under, we're assuming Arkansas opens, right? I'd put a lot on that it does. We assume Arkansas opens. You don't play many of the other teams in this league who might open, against whom you might have to compete for a coach. So you don't play Florida and you don't play LSU.
And you're saying not Kentucky because you wouldn't compete with Kentucky for a coach if you're Auburn.
Because unless Kentucky gets a lot of NIL money for football, I don't think anybody's taking that job, right? Same thing with Arkansas. So you do play at Oklahoma. Like, what are the odds the loser of Auburn and Oklahoma fires their coach?
I don't know if you'd fire him right away.
No, but I mean, like, what are the odds that the loser of that game is coaching that team in 26? 20%?
Well, we're talking.
That's a coin flip game they both need to have.
Yeah, they both got win totals of 7.5.
Right.
That's like a swing game for sure.
Correct. So I just think like if they did go under, they get a head start on the jump. Because that probably means that maybe some other teams are doing better, but they're not quite as like directly. Like there's a couple of these teams that play almost all of these, and that like LSU played Florida and Oklahoma, and like quite a few others who could look to make a move. I'm over here.
All that said, I'm over.
Yeah, and I think they did a nice job in the portal. They paid up. I think both offensive linemen they got are pretty good. Obviously, we mentioned on the last show that the personnel people at the personnel symposium thought that Singleton was like the guy they wish they could have went and got for, and Auburn paid a ton for him, and they think it's money really well spent. I'm a little bit worried. Like some of the scrimmage reports that came out were like, the D-line beat up the O-line. And I'm like, I really wish I could see video of this because I want some context. And because I'm like, I don't know. I know they have like a lot of guys in that line on the offensive side who have draftable grades. Is the defensive line really that good? Keldrick Faulk's pretty good. I think that maybe the interior of the D-line is just kind of but they have a lot of bodies there. Maybe they're okay. I just think if that's at all the case, like if they have some real D linemen on this team other than Faulk, I think they could go way over. But make the playoff. Like to me, that the O-line has to play to what their draft grades are, and they need like one D lineman to arrive a year ahead of schedule to complement Faulk. I'm over.
I wasn't here for the Big 12. I was on vacation, but I'm a big Baylor boy. Baylor is favored in that game. I also have Baylor favored there. I think that's a very tough start. And I think when I look at Auburn's schedule and their win total, like if they do lose that Baylor game, then they get Ball State, South Alabama. So they're 2-1, but they're opening the SEC at Oklahoma and at A&M in consecutive weeks. There's no buys there. So it's 2 straight road trips. And if you break the SEC down into tiers, like I think that you'd include A&M, Oklahoma, and Auburn are all kind of in that same tier. Maybe you have one of them slightly ahead of the other. Maybe you've got A&M in tier 2, Oklahoma and Auburn in tier 3. But either way, my point is that those are all similar teams. So those are the kind of like the gotta have games if you're going to go over here to me. And they're both on the road. So it just complicates things. And if they do lose to Baylor, and then they lose on the road to Oklahoma in the Jackson Arnold revenge game, and then they lose on the road to A&M, like you're sitting there 2-3 going into your bye with Georgia coming. Like that is a bad situation to be in. Now, that said, I'm also a big Jackson Arnold believer. I think he still has tread marks on his back from Oklahoma running the bus on him over and over again. So I think he's definitely going to be, pumped up for that return trip to Norman. I think that they have an excellent wide receiver room. I think this is a very talented team. But to me, when I put it together, like the back half of that schedule is where things get a lot softer. But I just don't know what kind of condition this team is going to be in by the time they get to that back half of the schedule. So I have a slight under here. I've got them going 7-5. I think 7-5 for Auburn. It's probably not what you want, but I think it's a good step forward for them, even getting back to the direction they would like to be going. But you've talked about this a lot. They kind of had the hope that, they would be able to, like, they saved money in the portal to kind of fire the portal cannon at the people this offseason. And that just did not happen. And that's why they've got like 5 quarterbacks now all fighting for the gig, because they had the money and they had to spend it on something. So it's like, let's just go buy 15 quarterbacks and see what turns out.
And that's why they're going cheap in high school this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because they realize we got to pay Jackson. Jackson might come back. Like we got to pay Deuce. We don't hate the Stanford kids. So that's why they went super cheap in high school this year.
Mm-hmm. So I think that the top of this roster is very good. I think the guys behind it could be good one day. I just don't know if they're good now. So I also feel like there are depth concerns with this team if they start suffering injury. It's not a super confident one, but I do think 7-5. I'm going under here. But this is also a team that if it clicks, man, like if Jackson Arnold lives up to what he was supposed to be coming out of high school and what we thought he would be for Oklahoma, this is a team that's at the top of the league fighting for a playoff spot, especially with that back half of the schedule.
But I mean, if you start 2-3, where's his confidence then?
Yeah.
Getting booed by his own fan base. He's going to catch a lot of heat. That's what I worry about that. But if he starts off hot and they beat Baylor, they're 3-0, and he does get the revenge game, then it's like you guys are talking about. I don't trust that play.
And Freeze is not a guy you can trust to win the games he should win.
Right.
Like,
fair point.
That's a guy that routinely is a giant killer, and then they do not take every game seriously there. They lose games they should not lose.
Georgia and Alabama are like, fans are looking at that trip to Jordan-Hare and they're like, oh God, but at the same time, an Auburn fan is not looking at the schedule and being like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to get out of Fayetteville with a win because of that same sort of volatility. I mean, this team could be 4-8. This team could be 9-3. Like, I think that our ceiling floor are pretty far apart with this one because of the talent, but also because of the inconsistency that we've seen. I mean, they're just worse. Auburn teams have won games against top-ranked teams before, and Hugh Freeze has done the same thing. Ultimately, I will say that I'm on the under, and I like it. Little plus 134 too for 7-5. Okay, I'll take that all day.
Possible handicapping edge, Bud. You mentioned that Hugh Freeze's teams sometimes overlook teams. Maybe we should get a hold of the schedules of all like the mid-am tournaments and charity scrambles around Auburn during the season. Because maybe, the week of the Arkansas game, there's a big amateur, golf tournament in Auburn. Game plan might not be so good that week,
I will say, if Pavia beats Hugh Freeze for a third time,
he's not.
Hire him as coach.
I mean, and that's right before an off week. It's like at Vanderbilt, off week, Mercer, Alabama. I mean, Pavia really might do it. Like that man might be single-handedly changing the future of Auburn football right now.
By the way, I do love having a bye week before the Mercer game.